And speaking about your work, the name is 3049, right?
3049.
30. So you call it like
3049.
Yeah.
And but still, this is the number. This is the year of.
Yeah.
Yes.
Of the project.
Yeah.
Yes.
And speaking about the non-dystopian, right?
Mhm.
Collective non-dystopian era. Do you think it could happen earlier than 3049 or not?
Well,
I think it depends who you ask, actually. I mean, I would say that it doesn't seem like a dystopic or non-dystopic kind of moment isn't a unified thing. So even in the present, you know, there's a huge imbalance, isn't there, of kind of reality, depending on where you live, depending on your income, education, healthcare, all of these things in the present. So I think when we make these, ideas, reaching out into the future, we also remember that there is an imbalance, you know. So it's not like one unified moment. It's kind of a collection of circumstances maybe superimposed upon each other that could maybe become something non-dystopic. But really, for us, the function is a platform for thinking to maybe drive towards making decisions individually and communally that could lead to such a set of circumstances for as many people as possible. But yeah.
Carry on.
No, go, yeah.
But there is that saying, you know, that Mark Fisher often used to say, it's easier to imagine a post-apocalyptic world than post-capitalist world, and it's that in that sense, it's sad. So it means we are not able to actually think further than what we are living now. It's so that's why we are kind of pushing and trying to think in a way that is maybe not fashionable or transparent, but it doesn't mean that we are forgetting about how the world is functioning and how it's kind of really complicated and complex and hard. Like the idea of blurriness as well. Dee often talk about that. Like it's really important to think about the complexity also. So it's not simplifying things at all, but it's kind of trying to push. And again, it's that idea of creating something for people to think about and producing new knowledge in that sense, in a positive way.
And speaking about the knowledge, because this year Sonic Act's theme is unpacking artistic knowledge, do you think that there is any crisis in the education, or do you think this is something that should be radically changed in knowledge or getting the knowledge? I mean the tools. Do you think that there would be new tools to get the knowledge, and what about the blurring or not simplifying the things?
I think, well,
there's lots in that question.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's always the need to revise the systems of knowledge acquisition and information, its dissemination, even down to the idea of language, words as the technology for thinking and for communicating. That in itself is always unfolding, being revised, being altered, words disappear, forms of speech in a literal and also metaphorical sense are always, in flux. So inevitably, as we change and our world changes, we should be very, very serious about considering those tools and their evolution as well, and not leaving the decision making about how those tools evolve and morph to others necessarily. So to try and take some kind of ownership and control of the direction that those tools move in, right? It's really important, because obviously the means that you have to record information, to consider, to share thoughts and to construct thoughts, it's a box, so to leave the evolution of those things in the hands of state power, other authorities that maybe don't necessarily have entirely your concerns at the forefront of their mind is maybe a big mistake. So this is huge.
But in terms of education as well, it's at the moment, we are in the UK, so I'm talking about a specific perspective, but it's really hard and really kind of focus on people who have money, and bursary are cut down. It leads to that kind of hierarchical again empowerment, which is really, it needs to be broken down basically. And I think right now a lot of artists are taking the role of kind of social workers as well, and because all those kind of supportive healthcare and health system are disappearing, so there are people that needs to be like kind of carrying that and sharing it. So I think in that sense there is like an important thing in terms of community, even though at the moment it's a very like hot topic, but it's like it needs to happen in that sense. So it's kind of, we're trying to reach out and break down those like closed box as well, and open up a bit more and trying to reach
and
people.
Speaking about the community, because it's very interesting, during series of interviews with different people, there is so many people, like artists, talking about the communities and like the future of the communities. But my question would be, what kind of community are you talking about within this globalized world? Is it seizing down the communities to the local like community of those who are interested in keep on doing the particular things, or is it like what kind of communities?
I think at all scales. I mean, I think there's a real danger. There's something we're seeing a lot actually happening in the UK for sure, where maybe people who feel unhappy with what's happening at kind of state level, organising. I mean, it's not just in the States. I mean, look at it's not just in the UK, but in the States. And you're seeing a lot of. It's really interesting that you're seeing these kind of small scale groups kind of come together and create the change that's necessary. But there's also a danger in kind of annexing oneself from I mean, there's strength in numbers, right? So if you kind of make yourself 10 and you're facing 100, it's there are problems that kind of come with that. And I think even though it can seem, I mean, it's there's no one answer here, so it's it's none of these things are straightforward. But we're thinking on our feet here. But I think you could see how that kind of miniaturization of authority or something like that could seem attractive and even be encouraged. But there's a kind of tyranny also in the 10 that feel absolutely in control and in power of that moment, but really there can be a weakness in that kind of miniaturization. So it's really complex. I think it seems to us like very important, and it's the idea that you can kind of form networks with a very kind of small infrastructure and build out and so on. But it's also, it feels like within kind of I don't want to say, within kind of these potential systems that are being set up, I guess what we can hopefully drive towards is holding on to that idea of strength in numbers. So sure, be the 10, but connect with the 10 there and there and there.
Being
and
supportive
share.
of each other, basically. And that's the thing again with like defining something, which again can close down and then reducing. So that's that supportive thing. But also online community is kind of a bit artificial. So again, it's like kind of, it's great to be online and active and stuff, but it's great also to be out and taking part in reality, because that's where people are.
I
really,
mean, it's really true actually, and I think it's interesting how you have these two registers where you have the kind of online activity, but also how that kind of coalesces into physical space. It could be a protest. It could, I mean, and also sort of a conference, a club night, a conversation, a meal. These kind of, and not to, imagine that these things are all equal by any means, but just they are obviously of huge value, and to be kind of.
But that doesn't end there as well. So that's like kind of part of a bigger thing.
My last question would be about some noises here.
Yeah.
Because you told that it's quite easy to be lost like online. And speaking about looking at your like visual slides, if I may say so, pictures of your work which has been presented today and during the academy. Where do you find this kind of inspiration to get that vision of 30, 49? Like, where do you get this inspiration to see how it can be, this future?
Well, I think you kind of spoke about that before,
Yeah.
really. Just that out of a necessity to attempt to imagine outside of our present, you know?
Yeah.
But to push that,
No, but also like the idea of science fiction itself, it's talking about the present and like kind of showing issues that are actually from our world, and it's not another world that we want to kind of imagine. It's like kind
to
of
help produce
something that is real.
Yeah, to produce the conditions in the present for a future that works maybe better than the path we're already on.
Yeah. In terms of, you know, kind of sustainability and environmental kind of issues and trying to fight that. And
equality,
yeah.
And all of those things. So yeah, we're really inspired by just looking around us and seeing what we're seeing and thinking, well, how can we in some way help individuals to maybe share these questions with us and have a dialogue that can then sort of fan out to other people as well, and that's kind of
as a collective.
Yeah.
Precisely. Coming back to collective and communities.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that was great.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Yeah. Thank you.